Well, welcome everybody to the 2003 Champaign County History Museum annual meeting. I'm so glad all of you could join us. And if you're watching this later, welcome in. There's maybe a couple of questions of why don't we meet and have an annual meeting in person? And as much as I would love to, I think this platform actually gives us the ability to reach more of our members. I pulled the stats right before we started. Just so you know, we now have 13 members from outside the state of Illinois across 10 states. So hello in Washington, California, Michigan, Tennessee, Oregon, Colorado, Alabama, Texas, Florida, and Connecticut. And for all of you that are here in Champaign, we're so pleased to have you join us and for your membership and your support. So tonight I'm going to walk you through the year in review, give you a taste of all the things that have been happening, not only inside our walls, but out in the community, and talk about some very exciting things. I'll probably use that word a lot, exciting, because there are a lot of exciting things happening as the museum continues to grow. At the end, we will have some housekeeping, some business activities that we need to take care of. We will have elections for half of our board of trustees, and we'll also be asking for a vote on a bylaw change, which is actually a change in our mission statement. And so we will reserve that to the very end. So give me just a second, and I'm going to share my screen, and we'll jump right in to the presentation. Okay, I don't know if you guys see that, but let me get this little thing out of the way here. All right. My computer's being a little glitchy. I apologize for that. All right. Well, we have to start with our mission statement. Like I said, later on, we're actually gonna ask for a vote to refine it just a bit. This has been our mission statement since 2015, but it's always important to start with this because everything we do at the museum feeds back to accomplishing our mission, and that is to discover, collect, preserve, exhibit, study, and interpret objects related to the history of Champaign County and provide educational programs about the county's heritage and the museum's collection. So we think about that and tie all of our programming back to that point. I couldn't do what I do here, leading the organization, without an incredible team of board members, volunteer board members that we ask to do well beyond attending a meeting every month. They are the working force, the driving force behind this museum. You will find them in the popcorn wagon. You'll find them on committees. You will find them cleaning the museum, building exhibits, processing objects, you name it, doing our books, making sure this organization runs smoothly. And so I do want to say a special thanks to all of our board members. Several of them are on the call, of course, tonight. But our officers, our Vice President, Perry Morris, our Treasurer, Delora Seabrook Noble, our Secretary, Andy Grote, and then our committee chairs who take a lot of extra responsibility to put together monthly meetings to make sure the mission continues to move forward. And that's Sarah Bennett, who oversees our collections committee, Alan Arnold, our facilities committee, Dr. Lindsay Andrews, our education committee chair, and then our amazing board as a whole, Dr. Hal Ballbeck, Adele Suslick, Rick Williams, Joe Muskin, Ian Wayne, Renee Potter, and Brian Jersick, our newest member, who was just appointed last month. So thank you to all of you. If I don't say it enough, I should. And there's been a lot of change in terms of our on-site leadership here at the museum. I think I saw Connor on this call. Connor, if that is true, it's great to see you on the call. Connor left us in August and went back to pursue further education over at ISU. And Connor did a tremendous job for us, and we couldn't thank him enough for all of his work. It was especially important in growing and strengthening our relationship with the University of Illinois, with the iSchool, the history department, growing our intern program, making sure and growing our programs here at the museum. We're thrilled to have had him, but he has left us. And in his place, we have brought on Will Best, who's also on the call, but he's down in St. Louis tonight and joining us from afar. Will is, I noted here, we were able to look at our financial picture and make the decision to actually bring him on full time. So Will represents the first time museum manager we've had in place in 15 years. And having that kind of stability here in the museum, having him here even beyond our open hours is helping to drive our programs forward in ways we couldn't have imagined. So we are very thrilled to have Will on the team. And at the end of the meeting, perhaps he can jump on and say just a few short words. So we couldn't get the day-to-day done without our interns. I highlighted our 3 fall interns here, Madison, Terry, and Isabella. They are here working all the time, doing some amazing projects. Here on the left, you see them actually processing our William Springer collection, which is an incredibly in-depth collection of important papers and objects from William Springer, our longtime congressman here. And Izzy there on the right was tasked with creating an object of the month to put on display. And so a really great opportunity for them to get to know the collection, do some research on individual objects, and highlight those for us in the museum.
TJ, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Just to let everyone know, our fall intern's last day was this last Friday. One of our interns, Madison Lucky, who was our membership and events intern, will be returning to us next spring. And we have finalized our intern positions for next spring. We will have 6 students, 4 undergraduate students from the history and education department, and 2 practicum students at the graduate level from the ILS program.
New memberships, recurring memberships, and more importantly, we're bringing in more donor and grant dollars than ever before. And so collectively, we're in a very good financial position. Our membership over time, I kind of went back and pulled some historical data. And the one thing I will note that while we have reached a peak and perhaps a decline in our lower level members, what is typically happening is we're able to bring people up to higher levels of giving and higher levels of membership. And so that has really helped, again, push us forward financially. But we always can do better. We're a county of 210,000 people, and our membership, 180, 190. So we have a lot of room to grow, and we look forward to continuing that. So I would encourage each of you to help us by spreading the word about how important membership can be. This is donations over time, though, and I think this is a really important chart here. Obviously, after the pandemic, there was a pretty dramatic increase in individual giving, which was amazing. And that actually allowed us to fare the pandemic really well. And in fact, we weren't even able to apply for the state big grants, the business assistance grants, because our numbers didn't decline. In fact, our numbers grew during that period. And so I'm blessed. We're blessed for that. But our donation levels, this year is our second highest all time in donations, and there's still time before the end of the year. And I want to give you a little bit of sense of how we not only bring money in, but how we spend our money. And so this is our revenue structure. I think the important takeaway here is that most not-for-profits really should be diversifying their revenue streams pretty equally between grants, donations, and memberships, and I believe we do that really well. You can see 2018, we were very reliant on memberships. That was the majority of our income, but now we've stretched that and changed that structure to be a much more balanced approach, which is lending itself to more financial stability. And so, like you see, we've grown events We've grown our our in-person has stayed pretty much the same, but popcorn sales and gift shops collectively among those four things also make up a pretty decent chunk of revenue. So we're very pleased with the diversification of our revenue streams. And on the expense side, obviously payroll, we have one full-time employee now, but that's going to be a big chunk of that. Our storage costs also have gone up in recent years as the cost of that space has increased. But overall, we're doing well from each year. We're not exceeding our revenues, and in many cases, we're able to continue to put money aside in our savings as a rainy day fund, and also strategic investments into the museum itself. So I want to turn now to different programs that we've undertaken this year, and I've kind of broken them up into kind of different categories. This one's kind of preserving history. So this is about a lot of the activities we've had going on here in the building. One of the, I give a lot of credit to Ian Wang. He's on this call, one of our board members. We were in a period last winter where we were between exhibits in one of our rooms, and Ian, who is a local art lover, brought the idea up to what about if we take one of our rooms and we celebrate local artists as a piece of history, of living history. History doesn't always have to be something old. It can be something that's going on right now, and certainly the artists that live in our community are creating that kind of visual art today. And so we turned between December and June, we actually extended the program because of how successful it had been. We turned one of our gallery rooms over to a monthly art show and opened each month with a reception. This program I consider wildly successful. It brought a whole new collection of individuals to our doors. In turn, they became members. They've donated. They came back month over month, and it created a really active space in the museum that we hadn't seen. Again, driving that daily visit, and so an incredibly successful program. I think if we have the opportunity, we'll look to try and bring something like that back. Our History Harvest. This was this terrific event. Professor Dan Gilbert and his class at the U of I, his students partnered with us to hold an event at the 77 Club at Memorial Stadium. And the whole point was harvesting historical items, hence the name History Harvest. So this year, the focus was on Farm Aid. And there was quite a bit that we tried to do a lot of press around this. We encouraged community members to bring their artifacts, their photos, their documents to Memorial Stadium, where our team with the students would digitize those. They could make a donation of those objects at that time. And you see there over 800 photographs digitized, 200 pages of documents, 22 oral histories collected. All the while, the visitors could overlook the site of Farm Aid and actually watch video on the monitors. And so a big, huge thanks to Professor Gilbert, his partnership with this, the University of Illinois Department of Athletics. Just a terrific event, and certainly one that we want to repeat, where we actually invite the public to bring those items out so that we can grow our collection, especially in areas where we may be deficient. Last year, I mentioned that we were launching our Champaign County newspaper digitization initiative, and this year I want to give you a report on that. So we have raised $8,300 of our $30,000 goal, and remember, every $1 is one page digitized. And so we are excited that we have sent off the microfilms for the first batch. You see the January 1963 to July 1980, and it should be ready for the public, searchable, beautiful images a little in early 2024. And so we will be certain to let you know through our newsletter and other means when that is available. But the committee has also applied for a National Endowment of the Humanities grant for the remaining $20,000. And I think we feel really optimistic. The whole point of this grant, the University of Illinois is overseeing it. And the whole focus is trying to digitize more rural newspapers across the state of Illinois. And so we've been working with them to understand the goals of that grant. And we wrote a grant application that was really good. And I think we have a really great chance of getting that. And so once the St. Joseph Record is done, hopefully we'll continue this program looking at other newspapers across the county. And it's been a great way to get out into the rural areas and make sure that they're also a part of this organization. And so very excited about that. New to the collection this year, like every year, we've been continuing to grow our collection in lots of fun ways. I just happened to look through my collection to see if I had some pictures of some of the random items that have come in our door this year. I will say there on the right, we did hold our MLK Day of Service here at the museum, where we trained volunteers how to work in our collection management system, taught them how to process objects, and that is always we've typically try to do that in January on MLK Day, and it's been a really fun way to get to know new volunteers and teach them a new skill, and also help catch up on the backlog of items that we have to not only inventory from this year, but of course we're going back and trying to digitize and re-index every object in our 20,000 item collection. So there you see just a smattering. Love the Bonnie Blair. She was, of course, Champaign's fastest speeder, and her partnership with the Champaign Police led to this little tchotchke being created. The sculpture you see there is, oh my gosh, Harry Breen sculpted it for, somebody help me out, the high school, St. Thomas More, I'm sorry. He created a sculpture for St. Thomas More High School, and so this was the sculpture that he created in advance of the final one. And so this actually came to us through the Art in the Museum exhibit. We did a whole month of Harry Breen, who passed away recently, and his son decided to donate this piece to the museum. And so it's great to have a piece of Harry's artwork in the collection. Maybe one of my favorite of the year is on this next slide. Come on, there we go. And this is maybe spoiling a little bit, and we've been working on a Pioneers in Television exhibit as one of our new upcoming exhibits. But we were connected with Perry Fulkerson, who lives in Florida, and of course his father, if you don't know, was Sheriff Sid on WCIA in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Had a children's television show, and it just so happened that Perry and his family were discussing what to do with their dad's items from his Sheriff Sid days. And when I reached out to him, he said, well, the family discussed and they'd be happy to donate the items. And so we have his Stetson from Dan's Hat Shop with his name inscribed, Sheriff Sid inscribed inside. We have the Deputy Sheriff badge that was given to him by Champaign County Sheriff's Department with the number 3 for the television station. And we actually have his spurs as well. And so there you see Perry and his dad. And so we couldn't be happier. These are the kind of amazing things that happen when we just reach out to folks at the right time in the right situation and bring these items back. This, of course, tying directly to children's educational programming in early television history. So very excited about that. We also engaged in a really special partnership with Hillel this year. They were celebrating their 100th anniversary, and things came together so that we could they've loaned objects to us and helped create the exhibit case that we have, our rotating exhibit case in the lobby. This is a great opportunity to welcome them into the museum as part of their celebration. We held a reception for them, unveiled the display case, and then had a history talk focused on the history of Hillel. And so just a great way of partnering with other cultural organizations in town to bring them into the museum and expose them to Champaign County history inside this building and give them a platform to tell their story. So I'm very pleased with how that turned out. A lot of hard work there from Connor and Will and our interns to pull that together. So this has been a very busy year with our history talks. We finally got back into history talks last year, but this year we absolutely had a full slate. You see there all of the topics that we covered. We have even more scheduled. We have a full slate for 2024 coming up. again, just a reminder that all of these, we're trying our best to record them in a meaningful way to get them on our YouTube channel so that our members can go back and revisit those topics. And even if you aren't able to attend, you'd still be able to access them. We've been partnering with the Champaign Public Library to host many of them. Our building just is not big enough to host the types of crowds we've been getting. There have been some that have attracted overflow crowds. The recent one that Will did on Myra, Illinois, and the Silver family. I think half the Silver family was in attendance. I think they were spilling out of the doorways. So just shows that there's renewed interest in our topics. They've been terrific topics, and so we're looking forward to another good slate in 2024. So be sure to visit our website. You can always register. History Talks are free. You just have to register so we can plan accordingly for size. But even if you show up on the day of, we're not going to turn you down unless the library says there's no more seats and we can't put anyone else in the room.
If I may, TJ.
Yes, you may.
For our history talks going forward, to give a sneak peek to our members, we have them booked out all the way until April. This December's history talk is with Professor Ted Widmer. That was a relationship that Connor Munson, my predecessor, had cultivated previously before I joined. He will be talking about his most recent publication, his most recent book, Lincoln on the Verge, discussing Lincoln's journey from Springfield to the White House after he was elected president. January, Ryan Ross will be joining us and talking about the history of homecoming at the University of Illinois. And February will be the Urbana Seminary, as they are also getting ready to celebrate their 40-year anniversary.
Terrific. Thank you. So everybody, mark it on your calendars, reserve your seat, and we hope to see you at a future history talk. So I mentioned where you can find those. We have our new YouTube channel. I would encourage everyone to subscribe. That way, hit the like button, just like they say on YouTube, so that you know when we post a new video. But there you can find the backlog of most of our history talks. Some of the early ones are not yet on YouTube for a number of reasons, but some of them are also just simply found on our website. We do cross-reference them, and so you can go to our website, but I would also encourage you to go directly to YouTube and search for the Champaign County History Museum, and you'll find all of our content there, including some of the very early ones. So another highlight that I wanted to make, and this was thanks to Anna, one of our interns, volunteers, really dug into Dorothy Schroeder, who many of you I'm sure recognize from Sedoris, one of Champaign County's greatest claims to fame in the All-American Girls Softball League. Obviously, League of Their Own made this league incredibly popular, but for a long time, we didn't fully understand if there was even items remaining from her time. She passed away without children, and so we were concerned that maybe there wasn't much left of her playing days. Well, we were quickly figured out that was not the case, and we made connection with her nieces and nephews and that side of the family. And I had the chance to go out in July to their home north of Mahomet, where they have the most amazing collection. It is a true gem. Photographs. Her brother documented every year she was in the league, which her claim to fame is she was in the league every year that the league was in existence, from age, I believe, 16 on until the league folded. And he documented every newspaper case. He photographed all of these wonderful photographs, programs, baseballs, her cleats, her glove, her patches. All of it does exist. And the family has been incredibly generous in terms of offering us the scrapbooks to be digitized and the photos to be digitized. They're going to make some donations of some of the objects to the museum. So we're very excited about this collection. And we're going to do more with it in the future. But this is another one like the Sheriff Sid collection that really fell in our lap and is just an amazing treasure trove of items. So very excited about that. And then on exhibits, I just wanted to highlight, we still have our Illinois Traction exhibit up and our photography exhibit, although both are slated to come down in 2024. And we still are working on the launch of our Pioneers in Radio exhibit. And so in the meantime, we did have the room still available. So we decided for the holiday season to bring out the creche, the News Gazette creche, which we acquired when with the News Gazette collection in 2020. We had intended for this to go up in the Christmas season of 21, but we were then, of course, still closed for COVID, and so it went back into storage, and so we decided to bring it out. This is a really great collection. This was Marijan. Marijan Steve at Kinnigo would put this on display in the lobby of the News Gazette every holiday season and welcome the public in. The figurines, we don't have full history on every single one of them, but it is indicated through newspaper evidence and articles that were written by the News Gazette that it is possible some of these date to the 17th century. And so that would be in keeping with typical creches. And so we're still working on, there's perhaps little more research we can do. There's not a lot of markings or anything like that on the pieces, but it is a fun piece, and I would encourage you to come in for the holiday season and take a look. So telling our story. So this next section is how we've gone out into the community to tell our story in a more meaningful way. And the first I wanted to highlight was this community engagement. This was a lot of fun. This was like the butter battle book by Dr. Seuss. Do you butter your bread on the top or the bottom? So the question was, do you consider yourself a member of Team Urbana-Champaign or Team Champaign-Urbana? And this was the brainchild of the Champaign County Economic Development Corporation in partnership with Experience Champaign-Urbana, our Convention and Visitors Bureau. And they held a competition selling T-shirts to see which team would win. And so at the end, Urbana did win, but ultimately the museum won as well because $712 from their T-shirt sales were donated to the museum. And we were happy to write a really fun reprint of an article that appeared in the early 1900s, a bit of a tongue-in-cheek bounce between both communities where you really get a sense for how much each one loved each other back in the day. So I'd encourage you to go onto our website and find that article. That was a lot of fun. And this was a terrific competition. And so we're very grateful. Both mayors came to present the check along with staff from both organizations. So a big thank you to them for supporting the museum. Another exciting addition in 2023 was our brand new radio series called Locals. And so Tamara McDaniels, many of you may know Tamara. She's the host of the Plant Experts on WDWS. She is on both channels, WHMS. She came to us with the idea that there's a lot of places in town or across the county where people see a name all the time, but maybe they don't know the history behind it. And so her ask to us was, could we create a little minute to 2 minute long documentary on notable people or events or places around town? And we jumped at the idea and said, of course, this would be a great way for us to get our name out. It would be a great way for us to further our education out into the community. And so Tamara uses our help to research the topics. We help influence what topics will come up. And she writes and records the segments, and they all are on our website. I would encourage you to go and listen to them if you're not a regular listener of WDWS or WHMS, of their family of radio stations. But we were also excited that she won an award this year from the Illinois Broadcasters Association for Best Radio Series or Documentary. And so it is now an award-winning program. Once again, another award-winning program here at the museum. And so we're very grateful for Tamara and Grant and everybody at WDWS for bringing the idea to us. And I'm so happy we've been able, and we are continuing that now for a second year. So continue to look for those. Also last year, I mentioned that we were raising funds for our popcorn wagon. I can say that we not only, we met our mark and we exceeded it, which allowed us to complete many of the decorative elements onto the wagon. And not only that, we were also able to install a brand new popper. So the first time since 1981. that the popcorn wagon had a new popper in it. And so there you see Alan uh, and Kurt Ehart, who volunteered to help us install the popcorn popper. And here's a couple of shots just showing the final product. Boy, it just looks beautiful. We had it parked in the parking lot just to kind of showcase it under the sun. There you see the new popcorn kettle, the replica steam motor that now sits back in the window so that the public can kind of understand exactly how this would have all worked back when it was steam powered. And there you see all of the corner rounds and the decorative C brackets and even the new original chrome hood decoration there down the side. We actually found those on eBay, still in the original boxes for the 1940 Chevy. And so all of those parts were created by Bob Pearson in Olathe, Kansas, who is still making the original parts for these Creeder popcorn wagons. He has all of the original tool and dies to make all of these parts. And so we couldn't be happier with the way this turned out. And I think I have one more picture. Oh, it's coming up here. Of course, we took the brand new shiny popcorn wagon out this year in the Freedom Celebration, which we always loved. We started this tradition of trailering it instead of driving it. It's a little easier on the old girl. And so we do trailer it, but it's always fun. And if you want to come out and join us any 4th of July, we would always welcome to have folks coming out and helping us there. You see me and my kids. But I took this picture. I love this picture. We were just setting up for the fireworks later that night. Boy, the sky was beautiful. The stadium looked great. And boy, the popcorn wagon was just shining. And so we couldn't be happier that we're able to continue the legacy of this popcorn wagon. It is a culmination of who we are as an organization. It goes right back to our original founding, and it's so exciting that we're able to keep that popcorn wagon running and driving and out in the community. So just a few more items here. Boy, trivia nights. Not only are they back, but here you see we were out for our first big one out at El Toro. We realized space was a real concern. We were pretty tight because of how popular this had become. So not only is it back, but it is bigger than ever. And so we've moved headquarters to Jupiter's at the Crossing, which is a terrific venue for us. I think everybody had a really great time. There you see pictures from the different teams. Mark your calendars, though. This has become a really important fundraiser for us, and we're excited to bring this back February 23rd out at Village of the Crossing. So please mark your calendars. Join us. Members do get discounts on the ticket prices, and it is a really good time by everyone. All right, so I'm going to shift gears a little bit now. We've looked at 2023, and it's time to look at 2024 and beyond. We have a lot of goals for 2024, and this was the same goal I had for last year, and that's why I put finally, complete the needed repairs to cattle bank. So if you remember last year, and maybe even in previous years, I had mentioned that before Scott Bennett unfortunately passed away, he had called and had inquired and asked us if there was a way that he could help the museum, and we said, why, yes, in fact, we could use some help replacing our roof. This was 5 years ago. It has taken a long time to navigate the state grant process for them to release the funds, but I can tell you that the funds are actually here in Champaign and being put into our account any day. And so that will allow us to finally make not only the needed roof repairs, we need to replace windows that are in bad need of repair, the cornice, some brickwork, all of those things will hopefully be taken care of. But of course, as time has gone on, so has the cost of everything and inflation. And so we will be using some of our own funds on top of the state funds, but I would encourage you as we get to the end of the year to consider making one-time gifts, year-end gifts. Those will continue to help us with what is many needs around the building to help maintain our historic cattle bank. We will also open up new galleries this year 3 new galleries are on the slate. We will continue to place a focus on growing our membership, as I mentioned before, strengthening our intern and volunteer programs, which have really grown into their own, and we want to continue to make sure that we are able to utilize that amazing assistance, especially by University of Illinois students, giving them a really well-rounded opportunity here, the chance to work in many different areas, from collections to marketing to operation of the overall museum. We're very proud of the opportunities that we give our interns, and hopefully they leave us with a greater understanding of museums. We continue to digitize our collection. That is a point of focus, not only digitizing what's coming in, but going back and digitizing everything that is currently in the collection, and building stronger community partnerships. As we continue to grow as an organization, as we continue to think big, it's going to be really important for the community to start seeing us more and more. I think we've been doing that with our locals campaign and being on the radio and being out in the community, helping with the Champaign-Urbana Champaign program. Those are all important in raising our profile, because as we continue to think about doing big things here, we need everyone in this county to understand not only do we have a history museum, but we have a thriving history museum that's doing real amazing work and educating our public. Oh, we're hung up here. Hang on just a second here. Well, we can't stop there. There's so much more. Let's see here. Try this. Okay. I do want to mention an important piece of technology that's coming this year. We just signed a contract for a new membership and donor management system. And so I wanted to mention this to you because you will start to see changes. This will actually allow us to bring our events registration, our donations, our memberships, our newsletter, all under one platform. It will give our members the ability to log in and manage their own memberships easier. You can print off tax forms if you need them. You can register. This will give us the ability, for instance, if you register for History on the Town, you'll log in, it'll know you're a member and automatically give you the discount. No more codes that we have to pass around. And so we're looking forward to this because it also gives us an automation tool where you will start to get more regular reminders if your membership is coming up. That's been a real struggle for us, and that relates directly to membership retention. So we're excited to have this new platform. We're going to be migrating to it over the next couple of weeks in hopes for early 2024 rolling this out. And so you will see more about this, and you will likely have the ability then to create a login just so that you can access the account if you wish. So our last kind of big area here. Last year, I had this exact slide on the screen, and I was lamenting that the county has lost its history museum. And when you look across Central Illinois, we are far behind in our cultural offerings from some of our immediate neighboring peer cities. We also recognize as an organization this building and the amount of people we can bring through it, the amount of people we can host for things like our history talk, the ability to create exhibits of large enough scale that bring repeat visitors, that bring gift shop sales, that bring memberships, is difficult in our current building. So I said last year we had to ensure that this museum lasted 50 more years by thinking boldly. Well, we have. And so over the past year, we have undertaken a new strategic plan. And I want to thank Joan Dixon for leading that process. Here you see we met at United Way's headquarters, got us out of the building, got us around the table. It was a whole Saturday. We were able to really talk in depth about what the museum is, what is its future, what are the impediments to reaching that future. And so we've created a brand new strategic plan that the board adopted at the November board meeting. We're proposing to change our mission statement, and I'm going to ask that the membership on this call vote for this later. But here is the proposed mission statement. To share and celebrate history and innovations in Champaign County by stewarding and interpreting artifacts and promoting community-centered narratives through exhibits, inclusive educational programming. There's a couple key phrases in there that have changed. Innovation, stewardship is a really important term that we use around this building, and I think and felt it should be in this mission statement. And community-centered narratives, making sure we're telling stories explicitly about the struggles of all Champaign citizens over time, and continuing to bolster our educational programming. So also in that strategic plan, there's a vision. Again, collaborative relationships. We know that we can't do everything within our existing organization. We have got to partner with others to grow that. We need to create a positive and inclusive environment that grows our target audience beyond what we typically see in the museum today, meaning children, families, community members. We need to be, again, a diverse exhibitions and educational programming. You need to do better to expand our educational programming, not only inside the building, but outside. And we've added some language in here about capturing the gap that now exists in this community with the loss of the Children's Museum. We feel there's a lot of connection there between what we do, what it did, looking at how we might use a re-envisioned museum to, again, become more multi-generational. So we have how do we get there, and we talk each area: collection, education, and outreach. But under property expansion, we are giving ourselves a goal of creating a premier museum, innovation center, educational environment, and community venue that will respect the past and help create a future for Champaign County. So that's a pretty big goal. We recognize that. We are challenging ourselves here. And so in that spirit, the goal is specifically to create a new museum and innovation center. And we want to create the best in Central Illinois. So to do that, I've appointed a committee, a steering committee, a new museum steering committee that is sitting outside of our existing board structure, and it's brought together some outstanding individuals across our community. Jeanette Jersick and Beverly Baker are co-chairing. Jeanette is an amazing, energetic woman who has started her own not-for-profits, who has been president of Junior League and other organizations, has tremendous reach in the community. Bev Baker has been instrumental at the United Way in bringing programming and resources to the most needed areas of our community. Laura Chaplin, president of Chaplin Realty, an outstanding individual who, like her father, just wants to do good in our community. Dr. Tom Ramage and his wife, Michelle, both outstanding educators. Of course, Tom was president of Parkland College, and his wife, Michelle, has been superintendent and principal in the education system for more than 25 years across Central Illinois. Katie Bloom, extensive fundraising experience, works at the University of Illinois Foundation. Joan Dixon, of course, has not only led the Community Foundation, but helped not-for-profits across our community in navigating difficult waters and growing and taking on big projects. Betty Brennan, founder and CEO of Taylor Studios, who is an outstanding company that has built some of the best museum exhibits in some of the largest museums across the country. Cynthia Bruno, who some of you may know from her time on WCIA, an outstanding marketer, knows the community well, and is able to engage with so many different groups across the organization. Laura Blyle, who started Chambana Moms, who works at the University of Illinois Research Park, bringing some of the most innovative companies into our community. Brian Jersick, who is one of our newest board members, is founder and CEO of Starfire Industries. He is got a scientific brain. He is inquisitive. He is an outstanding individual and full of energy. And Perry Morris, of course, you know him as our vice president, and will be representing the museum's board along with Brian and Lindsay, and Dr. Lindsay Andrews, who is new to our board, but an outstanding educator. She leads our education committee. She knows and understands the direction that we want to go from an educational standpoint. So we pulled together an incredible team to explore the feasibility of building something grander in this community. And so I threw a couple of slides in here just as part of that early research of what others have. I think it's important to take note, again, of how we stack up against our peers. I'm not proposing a zoo, but we don't have a zoo. Bloomington, Peoria, Springfield, Decatur all have zoos. We no longer have a children's museum. All of our other peers have not only museums, but outstanding children's museums. From a local history standpoint, I love our museum. I think we are just the best. Of course I do. But when you stack us up against the McLean County History Museum in the courthouse in downtown Bloomington, we don't compare at all. They have an incredible facility and incredible museum. And of course, from a state and world history, we have Spurlock Museum, an outstanding museum. But when you look at the ability of the Peoria Riverfront Museum, the things that the city of Peoria was able to invest in and build, and we are the same size or larger than many of these communities. And we have such a rich history in education with the University of Illinois being here. It's hard for me to look at that and say, we can't do this as well. And so this committee has been charged with taking a look and seeing if somewhere in that fifth scene right there where that star is, if we can't place another outstanding cultural organization that really drives education in this community. Again, multi-generational education in this community. And you can see there are 746,000 people that live within 50 miles of Champaign, but yet when you look at children's and history museums on a local level, there is not one within that ring that matches the size and scope of our other peer communities. And so the goal here is to look at the idea of linking this past with the history, with children and innovation in the future, and trying to marry those two to create a multi-generational museum that drives visitors into our museum on a regular basis and makes the organization and the facility the central part of our community. That's as far as we've gone. So it is going to be work by that committee over the next year to really understand whether or not this goal that we've placed in our strategic plan is feasible. And so if you do want to learn more, if you have an interest in helping with this effort, or at some point it will take a considerable amount of money to produce a facility like this. If you have an interest in possibly donating, if this feels like it's in the wheelhouse of you as a donor, that you might want to get behind this monetarily, we would welcome any partnership. You can reach out directly to me. I can put you directly in touch with the steering committee, but we will hold an informational meeting when we're further along in the process with the membership to bring them along on this. It was important to me tonight to at least let you know what we're up to. After all, our members are the driving force in our organization. And so we wanted to at least give you the update on where we stand from a strategic plan standpoint and a feasibility standpoint. All right, so overall, that's kind of the end of the main presentation here, but I have to end with the ask, how can you help? Just like I said, membership is key. Continuing to be a member, continuing to think about increasing your membership year over year would be amazing to us. Considering one-time gifts, volunteering within our walls, or when we go out and have the popcorn wagon or go out to a festival, we'd be happy to have you come along with us. But consider making a year-end contribution. This is a great time of year, right before the end of the tax year, to consider making a one-time gift. We've been seeing those come in the door. I can tell you every time every time I open the mail and I don't recognize an envelope, or it's a pretty exciting moment. And we've had a number of great year-end gifts come in, and we're looking for even more. So we have two items before I let you go tonight, or at least open this up for questions. The election of board members, the slate that is being proposed by the board are who you see on the screen. However, nominations, our bylaws allow nominations to be made from the floor. And so I am going to kind of switch over to gallery view here just to see if we do have one vacant spot, even with this slate, that we would welcome someone that, if you don't know if you want to do it, that's perfectly fine. We actually have on our website, we have a whole document put together about serving on the board. It explains what your role is. It explains what's expected of you, all of that. So the board, if there is a vacant seat throughout the course of the year, the board is allowed to vote. A majority of the board can add a member to the board. So if it's not the right time for you, but you would like to think about it, I would encourage you to go to our website under leadership on our website, download the PDF and read through it. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you to help you understand. And you can always apply at a later date. But we do have one vacancy, so I do want to open it up to see if there are any nominations from the floor. Okay, then with that, I think if I've set this up right, I have the ability here to launch a poll, which should pop up on your screen right now, to ask you to vote on up to 8 choices. Let's hope this works. Is everyone seeing that? Nod your head yes if you're seeing the poll. Okay, good. So we'll take a minute or two here and before we end the poll. So if you need to check on each one that you are voting for, you can vote for up to 8. I'm gonna take a drink of water while that happens. We'll say the polling will be open for 2 minutes. Oh, okay. It ended. Did anyone not get a chance? For some reason, it ended. That's okay.
I hope I didn't mess anything up. I didn't know how to register my vote. I may have accidentally closed the polling.
Oh, you might have. Okay. I'm
You
gonna
can
hit
relaunch it.
I'm gonna hit relaunch, and I hope it might clear. I'm gonna make you do it again. I'm so sorry. It will clear the existing poll. Okay. One more
How do
time.
you register your vote?
There should just be a checkbox, and you should be able to check next to each one that you want to say yes to.
I don't have a checkbox.
Oh, it could be, Perry, because you're a co-host. Are you seeing the results?
Yes,
Okay, that's why. You're the co-host. So you're not going to see I'm sorry, you're not going to get to vote, Perry.
darn. Okay. Gee, I'm always learning new things, especially about Zoom.
Technology.
Every time I try something new in there.
I do like that it gives us the ability to do it this way. It is nice that we can have people vote like you would on a real ballot.
TJ, what's the bylaw?
That's coming up next. Is that on the same screen, or did? Oh, yes, it is. I'm sorry. So there is a second question there. If you scroll down, I didn't realize it was going to put them all on one screen. The second is the bylaw amendment. Ooh, I'm asking you to vote for it before I go. Okay, at least I did read it on the screen. What I read earlier is the proposed bylaw. I have a slide that shows them both side by side, but I did read the existing one at the top of the hour and read the second one halfway through. if you don't feel comfortable voting on that until I do the slide, we can go back in there. But I have 12 people who have voted in the affirmative, which would be the majority of the people on the call for the bylaws. So
Maybe
I
just
am
throw
going.
up the slide and while people are still voting.
Oh, I might be able to do that. I didn't realize. Yeah, thanks to that, Joe. Let's see, is it gonna advance for me here? There we go. Okay. So there is the existing and the proposed, if that helps you out. So we'll give it just another 30 seconds then before we close the vote. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to end the poll, and I appreciate everyone's vote. It looks like we have unanimous selections on the board, and we have the majority of the bylaw change. So I do appreciate that. And I think, let me get back on here. I think questions. I'm going to stop my sharing here. And so this is the chance. I would be happy to answer. Boy, I ran right up to 8 o'clock. I am happy to stay for however long people have questions for, but I know there are several board members on the call. We have some steering committee members on the call. I would be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have at this time or comments.
TJ, I don't know if people in the meeting, all of them saw the slides of the new concept of the museum. Can you show that, or all people know?
No, we're just not at this point where we're at in the process. I mean, we are still, the committee is still evaluating so much about that. It's just not ready to take it beyond where we're at, which is forming the committee.
Yeah, and also I did not see the bylaw change poll, so I did not vote, but my vote is yes.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Any other comments? Okay. Well, if there aren't any, I just want to say thank you so much for spending an hour with us tonight, learning about all of the great things going on at the museum. I can't thank you enough for your continued support, your membership, your donations, your volunteer time. All of that hard work means everything to us here. And so I hope you all get a chance to come in and maybe this holiday season, check out the creche, visit with Will if you haven't had a chance to do so. I know, Will, you're still on the call. I don't know if you're in a position if you want to say any last minute things before we hang up.
Yeah, I can certainly say a couple of things. I'm not originally a Champaign County native. I used to call Monmouth, Illinois, my home on the west side of the state. But when my wife and I moved here a year and a half ago, I did everything I could, including volunteering at the museum before I joined as the museum manager to learn about the rich history that this community has. And it has not disappointed me in the slightest. Every day that I have gotten to work at the museum, I have learned something new and interesting about the community. And I hope to be able to share all of those stories with all of you in the future.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate it. And we're so grateful to have you on our team. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I want to thank you all for coming. We'll end the call here. And again, we will be putting this on our YouTube channel, so you will be able to share this with any friends or family or colleagues that you might think would find this interesting. And I'll look forward to seeing you in 2024. Thanks, everybody. Good night.